The holidays aren't just stressful for kids. Caregivers feel it too. Let's talk about why self-care is critical for everyone. Around the holidays, it can feel like you are just flying by the seat of your pants and you are just having to go wherever the wind may take you, and your schedule can get packed and there's lots of money being spent and there's lots of energy being put out, and at times it can almost feel like if you are not constantly doing something or not constantly trying to make everything perfect for everyone else, that you can feel like a failure. That is not true. And let me tell you that you taking care of yourself is one of the best things you can do for your child over this holiday season. If you've watched the channel for any period of time, you may have heard me talk about these things in the front-ish part of the brain. They're in what's called the motor cortex, which is between the prefrontal cortex and what is called occipital lobe, temporal lobe, parietal lobe. There we go. It's between the parietal lobe and the prefrontal cortex. There's a piece that's called the motor cortex. And there are these things called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are amazing, and they were discovered by these scientists who were watching monkeys eat bananas, and they put those monkeys in a functional MRI, and they saw all the different parts of the brain that fired while the monkey was eating a banana. Then they had those monkeys watch monkeys eat bananas, and they put them in a functional MRI while they were watching the monkeys eat bananas, and the same parts of the brain fired for the monkeys who were watching another monkey eat the bananas as if they were the ones eating the bananas themselves. Well, then those scientists had this wild idea that maybe people have those same things. And it's true. We do. We have these mirror neurons that are in some ways communicating with the brains of the people around us. Really, it's us picking up on all sorts of cues. It's us taking in millions of pieces of information about a person, processing it all at the same time. But basically what it comes down to is the energy that you are putting out, your child picks up on it. Because our brains are also wired to have mirror connection strongest with the people who take care of us, the people that we're closest to. If you are putting out a negative energy because you haven't taken care of yourself, then your child will also be picking up a negative energy that causes their whole thing to be thrown off as well. Macy over on YouTube says, that is so cool. I agree. Mirror neurons are incredible things. But when you are thinking of taking care of yourself, the more stressed you are becoming, the more those mirror neurons are putting out this stress feeling, and your child is picking up that stress feeling. So maybe they weren't stressed before, but their mirror neurons are picking up that you are stressed, and they're starting to think, well, they feel stressed, so I should feel stressed too. If I don't feel stressed, maybe something dangerous is going to happen. And that can impact their ability to regulate their emotions. If you are able to stay calm, even when they are not feeling so calm, it helps them calm down without you even having to say a word. We often can feel like disappointments if we don't pack every moment with fun, but that downtime, that self-care is crucial. And let me take it even further. Even if your child expresses boredom, instead of trying to fix that emotion, validate that emotion. Let them know, okay, thank you so much for letting me know that you are feeling bored. I hope you can find something that you'd like to do, or maybe you'll become comfortable with feeling bored. Don't try to fix it. Let them feel bored. That downtime is crucial. It helps with so many different things. It helps the brain kind of settle down, and it will help them to appreciate some activities when they do happen. If the child is constantly on the go, they're constantly looking for a next high, quote unquote high, where things are having to always build on top of each other. Having some downtime and even some boredom sets the bar a little bit lower. So you don't have to constantly be one-upping yourself. You can start from this lower level, and then anything is fun. That's great. One of the reasons that children can express so much disappointment with things that are planned for them in today's world is because we are constantly trying to one-up the last thing without giving them any time to kind of settle and process and be ready for the next thing. But that downtime is crucial. It really is a part of self-care. If during the holidays you are constantly running around and trying to fix everything for everyone and trying to make everything perfect and never taking a breath for yourself, your child's brain is picking up on that energy, because whether you can fully express it or not, you are burning yourself out. And that burnout leads to stress, or that stress can lead to burnout, and your child's brain picks up on that. Build in that downtime into your routine for both you and your child. There can be downtime that you have together. There can also be downtime where you say, hey, mommy, daddy, uncle, whoever you happen to be, you can say, hey, I need to go take 10 minutes to myself. You can play for a while. I'll be back in 10 minutes. And give yourself the ability to take some time just for you. And you can have some downtime with them, just some relaxed self-care time. It doesn't have to be something expensive. There are all sorts of self-care tutorials and trainings and videos that talk about all this money to spend on self-care. It doesn't have to cost a dime. It can literally be sitting together, drawing together, coloring together, reading, watching a favorite movie, or just relaxing. Those are important things to be doing over the holidays, even though it seems like every moment should be filled with something that is wildly exciting. Take time for downtime. One more thing that you can do is to encourage some healthy habits. Around the holidays, lots of healthy habits go right out the window. We eat tons of junk food, drink tons of junk food, don't drink enough water, start to become more sluggish. Those are things that we have to work on in order to take care of ourselves. Healthy habits like eating something nutritious. That does not mean that every meal has to have tons of fruits and vegetables over the holidays. If you can, and that's enjoyable for you, more power to you. That is fantastic. But make sure that you are getting some nutrition. One thing that people often don't know is that there's a chemical in the brain called serotonin. Serotonin is the stabilizer chemical. People with anxiety and depression actually have a depleted level of serotonin. It doesn't allow them to feel as stable as someone with a more neurotypical brain that does have a typical level of serotonin. But the part that people don't know is that 90% of the serotonin that your brain needs is created in your gut. That means if you are eating in a healthy way, your gut is able to create the serotonin that your brain needs to feel more stable. If you are eating lots of junk, your gut is not getting what it needs for the building blocks of that serotonin that your brain needs to feel stable. What can happen is someone will feel anxious or depressed, and they'll start to eat some junk food, and they'll eat a ton of junk food, and they'll feel great while they're eating the junk food, and then they feel horrible after they've eaten the junk food. And then they feel great because they eat more junk food, and then they feel horrible after they eat the junk food. And that is because that junk food doesn't have the building blocks necessary to build that stabilizer chemical in the brain. Staying hydrated is also so important. Water is so important, especially around the holidays where there are lots of other types of drinks that people are drinking much more frequently than they do when it is not the holiday season. Make sure you stay hydrated. Water helps the brain. Water helps the entire body function as it's supposed to function. And finally, getting some physical activity can be so helpful. If you are constantly and only just sitting around and being kind of a holiday slob, it can feel great for a while, but what is happening is there's all sorts of stuff building up in your brain, and there's all sorts of energy that needs to go somewhere, and it will eventually come out somehow. But if you can build in some physical activity into your routine, it will help you take care of you, and then you will be able to take care of your child and build that physical activity in for them as well, so that they can get some of that release that they really need. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that self-care is essential during the holidays for both kids and their caregivers.